In this video, you're going to learn how to choose a domain name for your blog or a niche website. Hey, what's going on, guys? My name is Alex and welcome to my channel Blogging is Awesome, where I share tips on how to succeed blogging or running a niche website. And this video is a tutorial on how to choose a domain name. I know as a beginner, I was always struggling and I'm still struggling, honestly speaking, when I have to come up with a new domain name for a new project, and it can be quite difficult and time-consuming task to come up with a good domain name. And in this video I'm going to share with you a lot of tips on how to come up with a great domain name that you can be proud of. So without further ado, let's get right to it. And before we jump to my laptop, if you want to learn how to make money blogging with affiliate marketing or running niche sites, then I invite you to check out the links below this video in the description, and you will find there two links. The first one is a free course that I created myself, where I'm showing how to create a website, how to publish content, how to promote that content, and eventually start making money. And the second link leads to a free course of the authority site system guys, Gail Breton and Mark Webster. These are the guys that I'm learning from myself and following their advices, tips and tricks when I'm doing my own blogging journey. So guys, this video is going to be presentation like, and I'm going to share with you a lot of tips with examples, and I'm going to share with you useful links as well. So let's begin. How to choose a domain name for your blog or a niche website. And in this video I'm going to cover the following topics. Domain name types. I'm going to share with you the types of the domain name for you to choose from, the ones that I recommend to go for and the ones that I recommend you to avoid. Top level domains, also known as TLD. I'm going to explain what's that and which ones to go for and which ones to avoid as well. Then I'm going to share with you some tips on how to come up with a great domain name. I'm going to share with you some useful links as well that are going to help you to come up with a great domain name. Domain name tips. I'm going to share with you some additional tips, some things to avoid when choosing a domain name, some things to follow as well, some recommendations. And also I'm going to share with you the registrars and hostings that I personally use and I recommend you to go with. I also will cover whether it's a good idea to go with the domain name with the same company as a hosting, or host your website with a registrar, or it's better to keep them separately. So without further ado, let's get to the first point: domain name types. And the first type of the domain name, it's called as exact match domain. The example of the exact match domain is basically, as you can see on the screen, howtoloseweight.com, hikingbootsformen.com, bestkitchenfurniture.com. So in other words, exact match domain, it's a domain name that consists of your primary keyword. So for example, if you choose to write a blog on how to lose weight and this is your primary keyword, then you use this primary keyword as your domain name. Or for example, hiking boots for men. If you decided to go with a micro niche website and writing only about hiking boots for men, then this would be the exact match domain, or best kitchen furniture if it's your primary keyword phrase. I personally don't recommend you to go with this type of domain names. It used to be like 4 years ago and before, it used to be the case when exact match domain names would help you to rank in Google. Today Google can even penalize you when you're using the exact match domain, simply because they take it as if you would try to stuff with the keywords your whole project, and you kind of shove it in Google's face and trying to say, here I am, and rank me #1. They don't like this stuff. They prefer today other two types of the domain names that I'm going to cover right now. The first one is partial match domain. It's basically when you take one part of your primary keyword and use it as half of your domain, or like part of your domain, and you make it partially matching your niche and partially branded. For example, Weight Loss Academy, loseweighttoday.com, hikingbootzone.com, worldofhiking.com, kitchenmadness.com. All these domain names I came up just for the sake of this tutorial as examples to let you understand what partial match domain is. And this type of the domains, I would say I prefer the most. Why? Because first of all, when you see this kind of domain, for example, Hiking Boot Zone or World of Hiking, you already know what your website is about, but at the same time you don't use the exact match domain, and it looks as a branded domain name, but at the same time it speaks for itself what this website is about. It's easier for your audience to understand what your website is about, and it gives some hints to Google what your domain is about, and it might help you to rank in Google easier. So far, this is the best type of the domains that I personally prefer and always try to go for. Now, the third type of the domain names is a branded domain name. Honestly speaking, I haven't come up with any of my own versions and examples for you to show, but let me give you examples that we all know that are super popular on the internet right now, and they're so popular that nobody understands what their domain names meant from the very beginning, but right now, when you say any of these words, everybody right away knows what you're talking about. And these are great examples when you can create a branded domain name that doesn't say what your website is about, but eventually you get so much authority and popularity that everybody knows what this website is about. So for example, bing.com, reddit.com. Okay, Reddit actually it's a great example of a domain name that was created from a real phrase but was written in a different way. For example, Reddit, it's like I've read it, you know, since this is a forum, and yeah, but they spelled their name in their own way, and this how they created their own brand. Amazon, for example, it's a river name, but right now when you say Amazon, the first thing that comes up in your mind is a shop. It's an online marketplace. So google.com as well, I guess it doesn't mean anything at all, but right now we even use it as a verb. Google it, or I just googled and I found out blah blah blah, you know. So these are great examples of branded domain names, and it's also a great option to go for when you're choosing a domain name. So by all means, go for branded domain names anytime if you want to. Top level domains, what it means. So basically these are top level domains. I'm not sure why they called this way, but these are the options, probably the US as well. And you know, these days there are so many of those, and they appear almost every week, new ones. Like you can find .co as well, .co, and for some reason .co is even more expensive than .com. Some people experiment and choose those, but my recommendation to go for .com only, because it gives some authority. First of all, the second of all is going to be easier for you to sell your website if you will decide to do so in the future. Coming up with a name. The most time-consuming part, I have to say that it's probably coming up with a niche, but as soon as you picked a niche, the second most time-consuming part is coming up with the domain name. And I know it's quite difficult, because these days a lot of people and domain name registrars, they just buy domain names in bulk. As soon as they find two-word domain or one-word domain, I guess all one-word domains are taken already. As soon as they come up with a great domain name, they just buy it and keep it. you know, and as soon as somebody decides to buy from them, they just resell it for higher price. And for this reason, it's quite difficult to find a great sounding short domain name for a basic price of like around $10. And for this reason, I want to share with you two links that I personally use when I'm trying to come up with a domain name. So the first one is namemesh.com. I'm going to show you right now how it works. And the second is shopify.com/tools/domain name generator. I know, right? Shopify.com is a shop platform, e-commerce platform that provides you with kind of types of websites to run your e-commerce shop, but at the same time they have some free tools for you to use just like that. You don't have even to register with Shopify to be able to use their tool. So it's a great tool. And the third option is always you can go to Google and type in domain name generator. There are quite a lot of those, and maybe you can find one that you like better, but I personally use the first two the most. Let me go to the browser and show you how they look and how they work. So this is namemesh.com, and all you have to do is type in, for example, hiking, and click generate. Let's see, it takes a few seconds to generate these domain names. Oh, okay, they open the second tab, they try to push Bluehost. Please don't buy Bluehost because it's not a very good hosting company. I mean, the company may be good, but as a hosting, they are not so great because they kind of slow, and I heard quite many bad feedbacks. It's popular because they have pretty good affiliate program, but yeah, this is the reason that everybody promotes Bluehost. But I personally don't promote Bluehost and don't recommend to anybody. We're gonna get to that a little bit later. So as you can see, first of all, pay attention to the .com only, and that's it. You see right here all the domain names. So new, as you can see, they use top level domains as Ninja Solutions, all that stuff. Just don't fall for that. Don't go with these options. Check SEO. These are the ones that make a lot of sense. For example, you hiking, by hiking, and see yourself, the one that you like the most. Short. Also, they use TLDs, top-level domains, not .com, so don't go with those. They also have artificial intelligence options right here that generates somewhat related to your keyword. Out of mix, you can find some branded domain names that you can choose from. Then the next site that I was talking about is shopify.com tools domain name generator. And the same right here, just type in hiking or any other keyword that is related to your niche, and wait for a few seconds until it generates some options. So yeah, as you can see right here, alternative domain names. So premier hiking, hiking properties, hiking board, and sport hiking, for example, kind of good one. So as you can see, you have a lot of options to choose from, but at the same time, don't overthink it. Don't spend days and days or weeks trying to choose a kind of perfect domain name. Now I want to share with you some domain name tips, some things to avoid and some things to follow. The first thing that I recommend you to avoid is adding numbers into your domain name. For example, lose weight 101 or hiking shoes 99 or anything, any numbers in the domain name, I don't recommend you to use. The next thing to avoid is hyphens. For example, lose-weight.com. It used to be a thing, but not anymore. I don't recommend you to go with this, and just try to avoid that. Double letters, for example, sports shoes. As you can see, there is a double letter in the middle of your domain name. I recommend you to avoid this as well, because people are going to misspell your domain name, and it will create a lot of confusion. The next tip is I recommend you to go with a domain name that consists of from 1 to 3 words, not more, because more when it's a long phrase. Well, I know some websites, authority websites, that consist of like 3, 4, 5, maybe even more words, but it's not as good, it's not as catchy, it's not as branded, and well, you can go with that, but my recommendation still is to go with a shorter version, 1 to 3 words. It's just going to be easier for people to remember, to type in, to share with friends, colleagues, and all that. And yeah, the last tip is don't go too narrow. For example, if you want to start blogging about hiking overall, for example, not just about shoes, hiking shoes for men, then don't pick a domain name hiking shoes or hiking shoes for men. Go with just hiking, like World of Hiking, for example. Because if you choose hiking shoes for men, then you will create a lot of confusion if you start reviewing hiking shoes for women. If you choose hiking shoes, then you will create a lot of confusion if you start reviewing hiking backpacks, but if you create a domain name World of Hiking, then you can review hiking shoes for men, hiking shoes for women, hiking shoes for kids, hiking backpacks, hiking hats, anything, any stuff hiking related. If you want to go even broader than that, not only about hiking, but camping, fishing, riding, then go with outdoors, the domain name that would include all the possible niches underneath it. And the last part of this video, how to go about Registrar/hosting. Registrar is a website that sells domain names and keeps your domain names on their server. So they're kind of domain name brokers, let's say. Hosting is a website that hosts, it's a server that hosts your entire website. When you buy a domain name, you pay once per year about $10 to $12 for a domain name. Hosting company, since they store your entire website with all the files, with all the images, with all the videos that you upload to your website and content, the entire content, you have to pay them or annually or monthly. Monthly also about like $10 to $15. Today, and registrars and hostings sell both things in the majority of cases, at least the most popular ones. Registrars sell not only domain names, but also can host your website, and hosting companies also provide you a service of a registrar. So when you go to a hosting company, you will find an option to register a domain name with that hosting company. Which one to choose? Whether you should keep them separate, you can keep them separately. This is the option that I prefer. But you can also go with just one company, especially if you are a beginner. To not complicate things, it's going to be way easier to go with just one single option, to buy both domain name as well as hosting with one company. In this case, if you are going with this option, I recommend you to buy a domain name with a hosting company, simply because it doesn't matter where you store your domain name, it will not impact your website. It doesn't change the speed of your website, it doesn't change anything at all. But hosting is super important when it comes to blogging or running a niche website, because hosting defines the speed of your website, the stability of your website, whether it's up and running 99.9% of the time throughout the year, or if the hosting company falls down and becomes unavailable to your visitors. It's all about hosting company. It's not about registrars or domain name. For this reason, I recommend you to go with a hosting company and buy both domain name as well as hosting from that company. My recommendations are the following. As a registrar, I use namecheap.com. It's super simple to use website. They sell domain names for one of the lowest prices on the market, hence their domain name namecheap.com. So Yeah, this is a great company with a great customer service, and if you decide to keep all your domain names on a separate registrar and use other hosting, then I recommend to use namecheap.com for that. But as to the hosting company, my recommendation is a2hosting.com. As I mentioned before, I used to use other hosting companies before, but they were too slow. Their customer service was too slow as well. I could wait for days to get their feedback and help from them. But with A2 hosting, everything is super fast. The websites are super fast. The customer service is super fast as well. They even moved my entire websites from other hosting companies to their hosting for free 100%. So this is my go-to hosting, and right now I'm using from all my projects, all my websites, A2 hosting. It's my personal recommendation from my personal experience. You can find the links to both of these services below this video in the description, so you can go and check them out. A2 hosting plans are also starts, if I remember correctly, from $3 to $4 or $5, something like that. They provide you with a 51% discount on the first time payment. So to get that discount, you have to follow the link below this video in the description. So guys, I hope you found this video useful. If you still have any doubts, any questions, feel free to drop them in the comments below. I will be happy to answer them. If you like this video, hit the like button below. Also hit the subscribe button as well as bell notification button, because a lot more videos, cool tutorials to come on this channel. Thank you guys again for watching, and see you in the next video.